Remember when you were a kid and the adults used to say, you can be whatever you want when you grow up, and then you grew up? What if I told you that I recently found out that that's not exactly a cliche? Recently, I took myself through a whole identity shift. It wasn't necessarily a shift of who I wasn't. It was more of a shift into who I've always been. So I broke down 8 steps that helped me with my identity shift that you can do starting right now or whenever you want. It's your world. We just live in it.
What are you doing in my swamp?
Step 1, embrace radical self-awareness. This means to actually take a really strong look at yourself. Look at the things that you don't like about yourself and look at the things that you actually like about yourself. See what kind of habits you can do to get rid of the things that you don't like. Strengthen the things that you actually do like. For me, I just took a look at myself and said, bro, first of all, what I don't like is that you're an alcoholic, you smoke cigarettes, don't take care of yourself. The things that I do like is you're creative, you can live off of nothing if you have to, and you're resilient. And the thing that I wanted to be was, I just wanted to see what it'd be like to become a millionaire. I asked myself, bro, why are you not a millionaire? So I started doing research on how to become a millionaire. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. One of the biggest things that I learned in all the research that I did was the fact that millionaires or rich people or wealthy people think of money in a completely different way than I think of money. Because when I got money, I was paycheck to paycheck. I would just spend it as soon as I got it. Then I recognized, you know what? I don't really need a lot. So I started putting my money into things that make me money. I started making sure that almost everything that I bought was an investment. For example, if I was gonna buy something nice for myself, I would buy myself something like a camera or a new computer or something that I could monetize.
If you won all the money, what would you do with it?
Bunch of hookers and cocaine.
Oh, okay, that's
It's like those people who win the lottery and they don't ever get to keep their money. They only get to borrow it for a little bit because they haven't learned how to responsibly use the money that they have. And in this self-awareness journey with myself, I'm starting to recognize my spending habits and I'm working on building myself into a more wealthy bracket. I started investing in stocks. I started investing in myself and I started working on monetizing my time, such as things like this. Step 2, let go of labels and expectations.
I don't care what everyone likes. Ogres are not like cakes.
In the movie Shrek goes through an identity shift. He starts off living in the swamp, being a stereotypical ogre. He gets confronted by the fairy tale people who send him to go see Lord Farquaad. And then he gets sort of a glimpse into a hero's destiny, which then motivates him into moving towards being a hero. But he still maintains his old ogre identity and his perception of who he's supposed to be. And then he falls in love with Fiona. And he wants a little bit more. He realizes that he doesn't want to be alone. It does the whole romantic comedy challenge where they decide to go back to their original identity and back to their labels. They realize when they go back to their labels that they're like, wait a minute, I've had a taste of who I'm supposed to be. I know what I want. I know who I am. And I know where I want to be. You know, the happily ever after sort of thing happens. Typical romantic comedy. Also, I think it's part of the hero's journey anyway. Actually, life works out that way. It's kind of poetic. I guess my point is, don't let labels define who you are. Step 3, choose your values wisely. Define your core values and let them guide your decisions and actions. It's really important that you choose values that align with your true self, not values that other people have. When you're going through an identity shift, it is an internal shift, but it's also external. Externally, people are gonna look at you and they're gonna see you in a different way. They're gonna have some comments. That's them, that's their values, and sometimes
Haters gonna hate.
it could be a little bit jealous. The people who knew you broken aren't gonna recognize you fixed. And it may not necessarily sit well with them, but you're not doing it for them. And step 4, embrace uncertainty. When you're making an identity shift, it gets extremely uncomfortable because you're changing so many different things about yourself. Some things you're not fully educated on, so it's all part of the growth. It's just something that you need to learn to embrace. When I was trying to learn the stock market, I took all the money that I was normally drinking and I threw it in there. I lost a lot of it, but I also learned, so I considered that paying for an education. I decided to try wearing hats, different fedoras and things like that. I was walking around with them and it was extremely uncomfortable because I wasn't necessarily pulling them off. But at the same time, I learned a lot. I learned what kind of hats I like. I learned so many different things about myself, but I had to put myself into all those uncomfortable scenarios. Same thing with doing these videos. It's not necessarily comfortable, but I'm learning a lot and I'm getting better. I feel like every time I practice this, I get better at it. So I embrace the awkwardness and the challenges. It's a beautiful thing. Step 5, focus on the process, not the outcome. You know the saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But I'm on a journey to become a millionaire. What if I become a millionaire sooner than I had expected? I'm not gonna just stop there. I'm gonna try to achieve more things. The journey is where you learn about yourself. And the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. And step 6 is to practice accountability. Without self-discipline, it's gonna be really hard to be able to accomplish your goals. Self-discipline is extremely important, and you can practice by writing everything down that you want to accomplish and giving yourself deadlines. Deadlines are great for accountability. Just holding true to your standards, not letting anything get in the way of you taking care of yourself, taking care of your responsibilities of yourself. Once you've established what you're going for, you'll establish what you need to do to discipline yourself to get to that level. Just think of the people who are at the level and what they have to do on a daily basis to achieve what they achieve. Use that as your accountability. And step 7, embrace the subtle art of not giving a shout out to Mark Manson on this one. In the book, The Subtle Art, Mark Manson describes identity shifting habits. The whole book is about living out your true authentic self. And that to me is the most important part of making a whole identity shift. Be authentic and be yourself. And step 8, ask God for help. I got a good Bible verse for you. Romans 12:2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of the world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Have a good one, guys.
You cannot wish for both strong character and an easy life, because the price of one is the other. If you're going through hard times, then it means that you're paying the price to have the character you ultimately want. And if you have an easier life, then oftentimes we sacrifice the hard-built character. And since most of us probably would identify as having a harder life, or the things that we're willing to endure, then I think it's just simply asking ourselves, did we ultimately want to be the types of people who could endure this thing? And if so, then we are just walking the journey that will give us the evidence that we are who we say we are.